welcome to Crayon. Today we're going to be reading Walt Disney's classic storybook. And the first story we're going to be starting off with is Sleeping Beauty. Long ago, in a faraway land, a lovely princess was born. Her hair was as golden as the sun, and her cheeks were the pale pink of the first clouds of the morning. She is as beautiful as the full of promise, as the dawn itself, said her mother and father. And after much thought they named her Aurora, which is another way of saying dawn. To celebrate Aurora's birth, King Stephen invited everyone in the land to come to the castle. King Hubert and his young son Phillip were among the guests. During their visit, King Stephen and King Hubert planned to announce that Princess Aurora and Prince Phillip would someday marry, uniting the two kingdoms. 3 good fairies came to bless the baby with their gifts. The first fairy, Flora, waved her wand and gave Aurora the gift of beauty. Fauna, the second fairy, gave her the gift of song. But before the third fairy could speak, the castle doors flew open. There stood the evil fairy Maleficent. She was angry that she had not been invited to the celebration, and she placed a cruel spell upon the baby. Before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die. The terrified king and queen begged the good fairies to help. They could not undo the evil curse, yet there was still hope. The third fairy, Merryweather, had not yet given the princess her gift. Perhaps she could soften the spell. Merryweather waved her wand over the baby. If through this wicked witch's trick a spindle should your finger prick, a ray of hope there still may be. In this gift I give to thee, not in death but just in sleep, the faithful prophecy you'll keep, and from the slumber you shall wake, when true love's kiss the spell shall break. King Stephen ordered every spinning wheel in the land to be burned, while the 3 fairies tried to think of other ways to keep Aurora safe. Finally, it was agreed that Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather would take Aurora away from the castle to keep her safe from Maleficent until the day of her 16th birthday. And so the king and queen watched sadly as the good fairies take their beloved child away to a small cottage in the woods, where they would raise her as their own. The fairies changed Aurora's name to Briar Rose and vowed not to use their magic. Years passed, and Briar Rose grew to be beautiful and good. Her lovely voice echoed through the forest when she sang. One day, handsome Prince Phillip came riding through the woods. Suddenly he heard a young woman singing. He followed the delight of sound, and soon he met a beautiful peasant girl. Before long, the two young people have fallen in love, without even learning each other's name. The day happened to be Briar Rose's 16th birthday. At the cottage, the 3 fairies decided to use their magic to make her birthday extra special. Flora made Briar Rose a beautiful new dress. "We'll make it blue," said Merryweather. "Oh no, dear pink," cried Fauna. The fairies simply could not agree on a color. What a day it was when Briar Rose returned to the cottage. The fairies told her the truth about her royal birth, and after her betrothal to Prince Philip. They were stunned when the young princess burst into tears upon hearing the news. How could she marry a prince when she was so in love with a young man she had met in the woods? Meanwhile, King Stephen and King Hubert were happily making plans for the wedding of Prince Philip and Princess Aurora. Soon the princess would return to the castle and the two kingdoms could be united at last. But Prince Philip shook his head and told his father he was going to marry a beautiful peasant girl, and off he rode to find his love. That night the 3 fairies secretly brought Princess Aurora back to the castle, but Maleficent was prepared for Aurora's return. Inside the castle, Aurora soon fell under Maleficent's evil spell. The princess followed a strange green light up a narrow stairway to a dark tower. The 3 good fairies tried to stop her, but they were too late. At Maleficent's command, Aurora had pricked her finger on a glowing spinning wheel. "You poor simple fools, thinking you could defeat me," Maleficent shrieked out at the good fairies. "Well, here's your precious princess." Aurora lay motionless, thinking quickly. Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather cast a spell and put everyone in the castle to sleep until they could find Aurora's true love. As King Hubert drifted off to sleep, he mumbled that Prince Philip had fallen in love with a peasant girl in the woods. It had to be Aurora. Prince Philip was her true love. The fairies set off to find the prince. But Maleficent had found him first. She dragged him to her castle and left him in chains in the dungeon. When the good fairies finally found the prince, they set him free. "Arm thyself with this enchanted shield of virtue and this mighty sword of truth," said Flora, and the fairies led him outside the castle. Maleficent tried in vain to stop the princess from getting to King Stephen's castle. She cast a spell, and a thick black thorn bushes suddenly sprouted out, blocking Prince Philip's way. Slashing the branches with his sword, the prince slowly cleared the path and continued on. Then Maleficent turned herself into a fire-breathing dragon. "Now you shall deal with me," she shouted at the prince. The courageous prince fought the terrible beast with all his might. At last he was able to kill it with the sword of truth. Racing through the castle, Prince Philip came to the tiny chamber where Aurora slept. Kneeling beside her, he kissed the beautiful princess. Aurora's eyes slowly fluttered open, recognizing the prince as the young man she met in the woods. A smile came to her lips. The spell was broken. Throughout the castle, everyone began to wake up. Trumpeters were finally able to announce the long-awaited return of the princess. King Stephen and King Hubert were finally able to plan the royal wedding. That evening there was a royal ball at the castle. Princess Aurora and Prince Philip came down the great stairway and entered the ballroom. A cheer went up through the castle, and they began to dance. The good fairies looked on, overjoyed. "Oh, I just love happy endings," said Fauna, and indeed it was a very happy ending for Princess Aurora and Prince Philip. So that's it for the story, you guys. Hopefully I can make another one of these soon, but I do hope that you guys enjoyed Sleeping Beauty from my Walt Disney's classic storybook. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.